Whoopsie. Let's fix that. All right, howdy everyone. The time is 4 o'clock, right on the dot, 4 o'clock p.m., and it is July 10th. This is another update from Great Lakes Weather regarding a severe weather threat that is in place for tomorrow across southwest lower Michigan, northwest Indiana, and then there is also a little smaller risk, according to the SPC, from central Michigan to eastern Michigan as well. So we're going to take a look at the models, get an idea of what is happening in the atmosphere that is causing this particular event. This is more associated with a stronger cold front that's moving through, not really a setup regarding other different dynamics. So we're going to look at that, and before we get to that, make sure to check out all our platforms. I do this every single time, so go to those different platforms, get checked out. Make sure especially that you're on YouTube, because we will likely be chasing tomorrow, and we will be live streaming that chase as we do it potentially. So make sure you're on our YouTube, and then all those other platforms are available to you as well. All right, let's go right to it. All right, so this is the latest from the SPC. This was released a couple hours ago. So this is the Day 2 convective outlook for tomorrow. This is the potential for severe weather, and it shows a slight risk across portions of lower Michigan, southwest lower Michigan, right here, and then also northwestern Indiana as well, and that extends all the way back into Illinois. And then a marginal risk kind of branches out from that into northern lower Michigan, kind of, and then eastern Michigan as well. So there's multiple places that have some different type of potential with this setup. So tornado risk is low. We'll get into why the tornado risk seems to be low with this setup, and it is more of a damaging wind and hail threat that is with this system. Okay, so damaging winds more likely in the slight risk area than anywhere else, but damaging wind, hail threat showing up among this potential setup. This is mainly related to a cold front that is moving through, and let's take a look at that real quick with the height anomaly. So 500 millibar height anomaly shows the change of temperature among different air masses in the atmosphere and the movement of those air masses as well. So this height anomaly depicts, well, right now, as of this morning, we were kind of dealing with a little bit of a ridge. Temperatures are in the 80s right now. It is a drier ridge, so it's not really that humid where we are at, which is very nice. We really had a great weekend of weather for sure. Tomorrow, that's going to change a little bit, and that ridge is going to continue to settle in the area. But up here, you can see there's kind of a cooler air mass off into the northern portion, a trough that is forming behind the ridge that is currently formed in the eastern continental United States, and it's going to continue to deepen, get a little bit more, build a little bit more in terms of cooler air, and then you right here, you're going to have development of some weather because you got a colder air mass moving towards a portion of a section of warmer air. You're going to get a front forming here, cold front, and that is going to drive some showers of thunderstorms, some of those which could be severe tomorrow. So it's kind of settling right over that area, Illinois, lower Michigan, those places that are currently in the slight risk area, and that is going to continue to progress southeastward into Indiana, Ohio, and then off to the south. Now the threat diminishes a lot more as you get into this area. Really the focus of severe weather on Tuesday is going to be in this area here where the trough is still kind of digging into that ridge back there. So going to cool down for us a little bit with that trough moving through the area, and then the ridge may start to build in later on into the week, and it's going to start to get hot again. And really, the area down in Texas is not going to get any better. They've been dealing with a lot of warm air for the longest period of time. But looks like we're going to get a cool air mass, comfortable air mass, sitting over the area over Tuesday and Wednesday. So let's look at some of the different parameters for this setup. I want to go back to the time when the storms are expected to hit our area, which is around 7 p.m. According to what some of the models are saying, some of the models really vary on this setup, so I want to kind of look into that a little bit more. But that is hour 36. So let's go to hour 36 on the single image and look at some of the different. All right, so you got some upper level winds. I want to go to the mid layer because it looks like there could be some mid layer shear. So you got the mid layer winds out of the west, northwest, and you've got that northwesterly wind behind the trough that's digging down, which is a change in the wind setup, and then it also occurs higher up in the atmosphere, and then you got that jet that's still coming out of the west despite that trough starting to dig into the area. That's going to be some shear that develops that helps to drive the storms that develop. And then also on the surface, you've got some southwesterly winds before the system begins to move through, which, again, if we look at that with the crossover, you're going to get a little bit of change in regards to the surface winds, mostly out of the west, but again, the south and northwesterly winds kind of come together to set up for some potential storms. There's going to be some instability in the atmosphere once this moves through as well. GFS puts out about 2,000, a level of Cape value of 2,000, which is enough to initiate thunderstorm development, definitely. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that as we get into what's going on. Convective inhibition goes lower as the front moves through. So behind the front, you've got that lower convective inhibition that will drive that. So I want to look at this from the Euro model, ECMWF model. This is the precipitation type because 3 different models vary on the positioning of the storms. Now my plan is to chase in the region east of I-69 and near the lakeshore, probably not go any farther west than Benton Harbor. So let's get a sounding of that from the ECMWF. This one won't really do much good though because this is at the very beginning of the event. So let's progress it. This is Monday morning. So Monday morning there is going to be the potential for some thunderstorms. Some of those as well could be a little bit stronger, but it doesn't look like they'll be as strong as ones coming again. These are remnant storms from a Minnesota severe weather event that is taking place right now. Those will likely begin to die out as we get towards the midday on Monday. And then in the afternoon, you're going to see the redevelopment of these showers and thunderstorms. Now, Euro model taking it a lot farther north than the current setup. So, Euro model's taking it quite a bit further north, except you got some cells down here that may pack some. This shows some tornado potential, and the cloud bases are going to be quite low, but given the setup of this with mainly westerly winds, there's not really going to be too much spin in the atmosphere based on what is shown right here. So mostly southwesterly, northwesterly winds. It's really going to be coming out of the west, the wind is. So not really too much spin in the atmosphere, but the updrafts will still form prior to that cold front or those cold front storms moving through the area, which is why damaging wind and hail seem to be the main threat from this. So marginal severe risk really for areas north of I-94, north of I-96, really just marginal storms, not really anything super significant it's looking like for you guys based on these models. But the Euro really puts them off to the north. But a couple models vary on how this event's going to unfold. And again, a lot of these storms are conditionally going to develop based on the fact that they are tagging along with the cold front that is moving through the area. If the cold front is not in the proper position when these storms develop, we may not see storms at all. But it looks like, given the latest setup and the latest models, it looks like we could have some initiation of some storms across parts of southwest, northwest Indiana, southwest Michigan, northwest Indiana. So that's what the Euro is showing. I want to look at the NAM because the NAM really shows what could happen with this setup. So let's go to, we're just going to get through Sunday. You got some convection coming off of the lake Sunday evening associated with that severe weather event happening in Wisconsin as of right now, packing severe potential. So let's continue to progress that eastward. It shows storms getting as far south as Kalamazoo. This is going to be a thing to consider when we are watching the storms develop as well. How much of this is going to last, and how much instability is it going to take out of the atmosphere on Monday? Now, 2 a.m., kind of early for instability to really form, but most models seem to show that the convection is going to die off. It might redevelop across parts of lower Michigan in the morning, according to what the NAM is saying, but it doesn't really look like it's going to last too long. So in the morning, it looks like there could be some rain, moves out of the area, and then on the backside of that, you've got those cold front storms going to develop across parts of Chicago, near Kenosha, Milwaukee. Those will begin to intensify and show much greater strength as they move in, and then they looks like they will land in parts of northwestern Cass County, Berrien County, Van Buren County. those areas look like they will be seeing the beginnings of those strong thunderstorms, and then maybe a second cluster developing behind that. But let's get a sounding of when these storms initially begin to move into the area. NAM does show severe potential packed with these Cape values of 2,000, really lower cloud bases, and the instability can really kick off from anywhere in the atmosphere right there. Photograph really doesn't show too much tornado potential. Looks like it's going to be displaced. Not really going to be a good setup for tornadoes. And again, with the setup we have here, there's not really going to be too much spin in the atmosphere. Except we are going to have northwesterlies prior to the moving in of the storms at the surface, and then you're going to have southwest winds above that, which can drive a little bit of maybe some spin, but I really don't think it's going to be too much of a tornado event. We went a little bit too far there. Let me fix that. I want to get a look at the severe weather dynamics for this as well. I'm going to go back to a single image for hour 35. That's when these storms are really shown up by this model. And I want to look at bulk shear we got. There's shear on the back side of this. Looks like a little bit of shear that can drive these. I'm guessing spin's going to be low. Yeah, spin is low. There's not really going to be too much spin in the atmosphere. You don't see those winds really changing that much, and that's why it's not really too much of a tornado potential. Significant tornado parameters does show a minimal amount of tornado potential showing up, but the supercell composite also still showing a little bit of a low value. But again, there is development of those clusters of storms across parts of Illinois, southwest Michigan that could pack that damaging wind potential. So it's not going to be a tornado potential or tornado event. I mean, tornadoes can develop at any point, really, but you'll just have to be aware of the fact that it's not going to be as likely, and the SPC has accounted for that in their analysis as well. So that is what the current setup looks like. I'm going to backtrack here just a little bit. I want to go back to a little hourly because I'm planning on chasing this setup. I want to go back to the state view. I'm going to backtrack a little ways here. There we are. That's what I want to see. Alright, so back to where we're at. I think where I'm going to start is possibly in Cass County, because that's when those storms are initially going to move in, and then we can just follow them down into possibly the Elkhart South Bend area. Elkhart South Bend looks pretty good for that setup, so we'll just have to use. But again, I'll have to check the models tomorrow as well and see what the best judgment will be on that chase. So, and then maybe some of that convection on the backside we can follow into at the very end as well. So just to watch for. So that's what the NAM shows. Now the HRRR is a lot different. HRRR actually shows that nothing's really going to happen. So let's take a look at that. I want to investigate that a little bit. But HRRR, we get to the afternoon. Not really much showing up in terms of thunderstorms. Really, you've got these two little clusters here down in Berrien County that pack marginal severe potential. And then you've got more storms developing off to the northern side, also packing marginal severe potential. Now the HRRR shows a more northern mode to this setup. So, and it looks like this model shows that it's going to be later at night as well. So again, if it's a later at night event, I'm probably not going to be able to chase that, and it's a lot farther off to the north than what the slight risk area projects. SPC puts it that perhaps what the NAM shows is going to play out more likely. So around 5 or 6 p.m., you're going to get storms down in southwestern lower Michigan potentially, and then we'll have to see what goes on from there as well. But let's go back to the NAM real quick, because I do think the NAM has a lot of good information for this potential setup. I want to do a freeze frame again on hour 35 because that has some good stuff there. Let's go to the Cape values. So Cape values of around 3,000 across the place where the storm is going to initiate, and then southwesterly winds at the surface and mid layer, northwesterly winds above, kind of making that shear. And then also look, as these storms begin to move through, you got a lot of spin developing within the storm as well. So the northwesterly surface winds, southwest mid layer, and then more western winds up in the higher levels of the atmosphere. So that's gonna be something to watch too. There could be a little bit of spin in the storms themselves as they follow that cold front and that change in winds behind that front. So we'll just have to watch that as it moves in, but I'll continue to provide updates on this event as it moves in tomorrow afternoon. Really is the target time, and I will likely be chasing in this area right around here. So we'll just continue to provide updates on that, and hopefully this video is helpful to you. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully it was beneficial. And for more information, make sure to like and subscribe and keep this going. All right, we need to continue to gather more subscribers into this. So make sure to like and subscribe, share it with your friends, make sure they're aware of what's going on, and I will see you all a little later.